You are listening to the IAMKP podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the IAMKP podcast, and today's episode is with Laura Hope.
Hi!
The bitch is back, as they say.
As they all say.
I think I've said that before, but you know me.
If it ain't broke. Obviously, I wasn't in too much of a huff to not come back on. So.
Yeah, you're pretty regular for people that have not heard you before, which I'm surprised if no one has.
I'm kind of become your Brian Redband, which is a little disturbing. Well, we can't get anyone else on.
That is pretty disturbing. If you're my red band,
that
means you have to make fart jokes.
I don't like it either, pal. Happy to be invited back on again.
Yeah,
glad you're not bored of me.
Yeah, I've been off the last couple of weeks. I think it's 3 weeks now since my last episode. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I've just been in between guests, obviously.
Yes.
And I've been training as well.
You're training and you work 6 days a week as well. So
yeah, that is true.
Lots of good reasons.
I never think of the working as part of it. I just, everything around it is the stuff I like to do. I just blank out the working part of it.
Yeah. And I get, because you work most days, but not ridiculously long hours except on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So I can imagine you, it's sort of the same as me, and I work in shifts in the evening. It's the opposite of you, but I still kind of have a whole day.
Yeah. And
then eventually you realize how tired you are and you die.
I know. Yeah, it's been crazy because I'm working 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be really long hours, and sometimes I'm driving all this way and then I'm working a few hours, so it's a bit. It's tiring. I can feel that it's starting to have an effect, and I definitely need a holiday.
Lollipop.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
People, as a person, you feel that you need just a break from all that.
Yeah, it definitely does build up. And then you get tireder, and you kind of get used to there's momentum. Just from when I'm now alternating frustrated and really enjoying the fact that I'm not working 6 or 7 days a week, which is what I've been doing for the past couple of years.
Have you ever had I don't want to say it like this, but a proper full-time job?
Yeah. I've had more than one full-time job at once even.
How does that work?
Because when you think of full-time hours, you're not actually, it's 8 hours a day. So there's room to do other stuff.
Have you ever had a proper job?
I have had several proper jobs. Yeah. That is slightly insulting, actually.
I'm joking.
But yes, I've had an office job and that kind of thing where you're doing literally 9 to 5 on normal people hours.
It's different when you're an artist. It's hard. It's usually a job that supplements this what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard to sort of go down a career path.
There isn't a career I'm really interested in, so it wouldn't be what I would do.
I just mean as an art, the artists. Type.
Yeah.
There are a lot of artists out there that don't work generally or have a part-time job just because.
Yeah. I think a lot of people work in fields other than what they're sort of directly really interested in.
Why would you work in a field?
If you're a farmer. But I really want to farm soybeans. They want me to farm wheat.
Don't start with soybeans. You're a soy boy. That's a weird word that people call guys,
soy.
A soy boy.
I haven't heard that. What does that mean?
You know, I heard that. It's kind of it's hard not to Google it, but I really don't know. Huh. It's a soy boy. It's like the hipster left version of a spice boy, I guess.
Oh, so you're
I assume.
Yeah, I gotcha. So there'd be an implication that you're there kind of following along as opposed to really.
Probably should Google it, actually. Do you want to figure out what actually a soy boy is? It's a funny one to say as well, soy boy.
Soy boy. Soy boy.
And obviously all the implications of soy on men as well. We all know that it can have an effect on your levels of estrogen in your system.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it derives from.
All right. According to Urban Dictionary.
Oh yeah, you can really trust Urban Dictionary.
Well, it's not like it's going to be in like the OED because I don't think it's like a proper thing.
That's where I actually get all my information from generally. Is Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. Is that where you looked up Darren and it said anybody who's a really excellent person is a Darren?
Actually, it means the greatest. If you look up,
you know why it does, don't you? Because somebody named Darren added that definition, and it works for every name.
Might have been me. Actually,
might have been you.
I am the greatest. I mean, Darrens are great.
Urban Dictionary: slang used to describe males who completely and utterly lack all necessary masculine qualities.
Okay.
This pathetic state, I think they're editorializing here, is usually achieved by an overindulgence of emasculating products and or ideologies, which isn't very good grammar.
It's the first time I've heard Urban Dictionary go deep on something like that.
This sounds like somebody is typing this furiously. Like they really hate these people for some reason.
Because they've been called a soy boy or they've dated a soy boy.
Yeah. Like what's an emasculating product other than like a knife that you're literally using to cut off your junk? Like,
but that doesn't have an effect on your masculinity though. If you cut off your junk.
But like the literal definition of the word emasculation is to remove someone's,
which is
masculine appendage.
Probably changed over time. Like
yeah, totally. Yeah. Like I'm just making a joke.
Me having a girlfriend is probably seen as emasculating.
Oh yeah. I think what they mean is like like hairspray.
Okay.
I'm not a product.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think emos would probably come under that category if it was something that was more prevalent now. Are people still emo? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm just reading this definition. This person definitely has a chip on their shoulder. The average soy boy is a feminist, non-athletic, has never been in a fight, will probably marry the first girl that has sex with him, and likely reduces all his arguments to labeling the opposition as Nazis. So I feel that this person definitely got called a Nazi by a feminist,
or a soy boy.
And now they're really mad.
Or a soy boy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wow. Now we really understand the word soy boy. I had the vague understanding of it before. Yeah. And I used it sort of flippantly. Same with what's the other one I use? And I don't really I haven't looked into what it actually means.
Oh goody, what's this one?
Spice boy. That's it.
Yeah. I feel like
that's
my only definition of that is what you told me, and I think it's a great definition.
Should we have that as well? Spice boy.
Shall we look it up? Okay.
In my head, I interpret it as someone who dresses a certain way, and I think there's something to do with like spicy chicken and chips. That's like a thing.
It's like a Nando's guy, a guy who takes girls to Nando's. A Nando's guy.
A cheeky Nando's.
Do
you know, I used to say that. Why is it that you have to say, if you say cheeky, or if you say, do you want to go to Nando's? You have to say cheeky.
Cheeky Nando's.
I used to say that before it was cool.
Of course you did.
Or it was not so cool. Because I loved Nando's. And it was like, you take your girlfriend there or whatever, and you'd say like, do you want to go for a cheeky Nando's? But it's become lame, obviously, because of Spice Boys.
Because it's like it's become too much of a thing. It's jumped the shark. Okay. A social group consisting of males following the latest fashions of pink polos that have seams on the outside.
What?
Again, very specific. Bleached blonde, spiky hair, and tight t-shirts. I don't know whether they wear those at the same time as the polos or not.
Who has bleached blonde, spiky hair anymore?
Oh, this was written in 2005. What? This definition.
So Spice Boy, that has to be American definition.
Maybe. I thought they're talking about like Top Man and stuff in this definition, which they didn't have in America at that point.
But they do now, don't they? Maybe it's been
they do now, but like
citation needed. Maybe they've added in later on Top Man as they went.
Oh no, it's got the word totty in it as well, which is definitely not
British.
And they're leaning on what we were talking about recently, how certain brands have completely different reputations on both sides of the pond. And this one is definitely leaning on the UK version of Stella's as being something that you drink if you're Patre class, as opposed to...
What's a Stella in North America?
It's a fancy imported beer.
What's a Stella in the UK?
A beer you drink if you're going to go punch people in an undershirt.
They're essentially the same thing.
No, it's the same product. It's like when you're talking about Burberry and how over here it has a reputation as like chav clothes, but it's still fancy in America.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's same with Stella's. Like they have a reputation as being like sort of chav beer over here. Whereas at least
Chat
when
beer.
I was growing up in Canada, it was like quite fancy,
Hmm.
like quite a fancy. It's imported. It's got a foreign name.
Yeah, because it came to my mind. You brought it up after we had watched The Office, because we're rewatching the whole series of The American Office.
Much to my delight.
One of my favorite all-time series of all time. That's what it means, of all time. One of my favorite. Maybe even my favorite. Do you know who's a close second now? It's probably Peep Show.
Yes. I like that these are both shows that we've brought to each other, and we really like both.
I can safely say I hadn't watched one episode of Peep Show until I met you.
Yeah. I find it really funny that you are the one who brought the North American show, which is The American Office, and I'm the one who brought you the British show, which is Peep Show.
That's true.
We're so postmodern.
But it's great. Anyway, yeah, so Office. I think it started in 2004, 5, The American Office.
I can't remember.
I think so.
It looks like.
Anyway, either
near nor there.
One of those ones. There's a scene where Jib's having his party and he says he has imported beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that dates this episode so badly.
It really does.
Because one, I don't think Americans really say anymore like imported beer, because all sort of beers now are sort of, there's a huge craft scene. So that label kind of just is watered down a little bit now. It
is, for sure. I think it's still used a bit in terms of, I think still pricing for like imported beer is going to be more expensive than domestic, but it's not seen as like the only good alternative to domestic now that there's a huge craft beer scene. Yeah.
Did anyone ever say to you, come to this party, I have imported beer?
Not in real life, but also I moved over here when I was 17, so it wouldn't have come up a lot.
What is the opposed to what?
Well, remember, okay,
not in real life, but on Second Life, everyone asked me if I wanted imported beer.
Imported? Did they really?
I'm asking you.
No,
because you said not in real life.
IRL. I see what you mean. I've like there's a joke about it in Deadpool. Like there's like
he's
when
Canadian.
He is Canadian. That's true.
Not Deadpool. Well, he might be actually. Do you think by proxy now, Deadpool has become Canadian?
Yeah. Possibly. I think if he brings us the head of Justin Bieber, we can officially give him citizenship.
And Trudeau, if you ask me as well.
Well, I didn't ask you.
Make them kissing.
Ew. Disturbing. Disturbed now. But yeah, there's a joke about like he's flying around, but only domestic, nothing imported. And
because generally domestic beer in America was always quite poor compared to what they seen as foreign
rubbish
beer.
Yeah, totally. And that was like when, because we were talking about this as well. I was rewatching Mad Men recently, and one of the sort of things that they end up advertising, I can't remember which beer it is, but it's like Heineken or Carlsberg or something like that. And they're introducing it as a premium product because it's imported. It's seen as like fancy compared to, and honestly, like the domestic beers, at least Canadian ones that they have that are like the mainstream ones until they started making craft beer were pish, like really, really terrible, horrible, no good beers. And even like somebody's gonna be like, I think a lot of people will be really loyal to their brands as well. Like I think if you're like a Molson Canadian person, you're just a Molson Canadian person. It's like tenants here. It's like, it doesn't matter that it sucks. It's what you like, basically.
For a long time, that was the only option as well.
Yeah.
I think everywhere in the West, I'm not sure about other countries, but the beers were limited and terrible.
Yeah, I
think that's maybe why craft beers sort of taken by the world by storm, is because people don't have to put up the shitty beer anymore. I think people didn't know they were getting shitty beer for such a long time.
That's true. You have to know it's good.
Nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
And then when you get something like Brewdog, which is a Scottish company, they're all over the world now. And it's because they taste just, I mean, I like it, but some people disagree with that. But they taste like a marginally bit better than the sort of terrible domestic beers that some places have. Yeah. So everyone's going to get on board with it. That's why they've taken the UK by storm, and then they're off into the world. Like they've got places in Iceland.
Yeah.
They have Brewdog in Iceland.
It's crazy, isn't it?
We've seen some in some random place in France, remember?
Yeah, in like the middle of nowhere supermarket in France. And that was like the only non-French beer they had.
But they had like copious amounts of terrible beer on their shelves, and then loads of cans of Brewdog. And I was like, well, I know what I'm drinking.
Yeah. Because I think there were still like really good traditional beers being produced in like Germany and Belgium and stuff like that. But they also have a lot of rules, and a lot of them aren't, things go in and out of fashion as well. And a lot of those aren't going to be things you're going to want to drink a pint of, because they're things that are like 8% and like really strong tasting. And there aren't really rules with craft beer. So there are all these mad flavors now, which I think people really like the choice. Like, I really like that idea. Like, oh, I feel kind of like a beer, but I feel kind of like a mango vibe. Like, oh, there are like 3 different mango beers in this store. Like, that's crazy. And
you don't have to go and drink in the pub to have a pint either.
Yeah.
You can have all this like interesting beers and cans in your fridge.
That's true. And that is quite wonderful.
Sit like a Jake ball by yourself, drinking Tennent's and watching TV.
Yeah. And you can actually also get good, interesting craft beers from big stores as well. Like, hasn't happened with wine yet. If it's going to happen, you're still going to be getting mass produced wine. If you're going to buy wine at the grocery store, it's going to be like consistent in quality. That's cool. But you could actually go to the grocery store and get like really quite interesting beers as well still, which is cool. So it's really accessible, which is nice.
But just on this sort of, to rewind it back a bit, it was surprising to hear that was something that he would propose, Jim from the office, to the rest of the party, that he's got imported beer. And
it's really like, I felt the same.
That it was like this must have been at least 2005, maybe longer, you know. It's only the second season of The Office, so I was like,
because I remember like the first time I tried. Like, when I was still a teenager, there was a brewery called Steam Whistle in Toronto that was starting to make like good beer, but I never really had any craft beer until we went on a trip to New York State when I was at university. So I might have been it would have been like 2009 or 10 maybe. And we went and they had amazing beer, like just ridiculously good beer. And it was so good. And I can still remember like this one specific, it was like an apricot wheat beer, and it knocked my socks off. I'd never liked beer before. It was so good.
Even European beers now are taste kind of a bit poor compared to all these craft beers that are coming out. When I go to like France, when I've been in Austria and Germany, maybe not so much Berlin, it's more centralized there, but across the board, like European beers are they're kind of flavorless and they're a bit weak, you know.
Yeah, there's something kind of, every once in a while I'm in the right mood for like, I quite like Italian, just like Italian boring beer, like a Moretti or a Peroni or something like that. If I'm in the right mood for just that kind of like, you kind of want a sparkling water, but you kind of want a beer, like that kind of mood.
I guess sometimes they go well when you're sitting in the sun. A lot of beers, if they're sort of overpowering, you don't want to be sitting in the sun, you know, like drinking this really complicated beer.
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting in the sun with like an 8% Belgian thing that comes in a tiny thing that looks like a medicine bottle. And the other thing is, I think people spent so long drinking these whatever domestic beers that are like 4% that now, and you get these like IPAs or whatever that are like 1 billion%, and people don't realize they can't drink the same amount necessarily. Or like if we ever go out on a Saturday and get a pint of Volcano after work, like that, to me,
shout out
to Barney's. It's a really good beer, but I can have a pint of that and I am done. Like that's
called
me.
Volcano for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Blow your fucking head off. Remember we went on a night out after working, because we work at the same place on Saturdays.
Yes.
The Pit, the best street food market, sort of bandy feel. It's for hipsters essentially. 2 of those
charming bartenders you'll ever meet on both the wine bar and the beer bar.
So we got both sides of the beverages covered.
Yep.
So we finish up late one, go out with our friends from the Pit.
Yeah.
I work on Barney's Beer, which is the bar. We go to the gay bar next door.
Yeah, I didn't know it was gay for like 3 years as well. Really? I don't know how I missed that. Yeah,
that's because did you not notice no one was hitting on you?
I still got hit on. It's fine. just not by the staff.
True. That is very true. Yeah. So not that there can't be lesbians there, but it's like a sort of male, very male centric pub when it comes to the sort of the gay. How many gay guys are there?
And I'm just totally Canadian and clueless and went there for several years before I realized that it was a gay bar. Or / was told, because I still wouldn't have realized.
It doesn't matter though, no. But still, you know, we go there and it's just, it was like 2 pints of this volcano.
Yeah.
Was it 3 maybe?
It 2. Wasn't, wouldn't have made it to 3, I don't think. It might have been.
I think we had 3, but we only ordered 2 because remember there was something wrong with that other beer.
Oh yeah.
And it seems I had ordered the wrong beer.
That's funny. Yeah.
No, they actually thought I said IPA and I said the IPA, which is the volcano IPA. But
they just thought you said the IPA.
Who says that? Like I'm not some fancy like monocle wearing twat going to the bar with the IPA.
I really hope that one of your listeners wears a monocle and is really mad now.
Hopefully.
Anyway, but yeah. Oh, steaming.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just 3 pints.
Yeah.
Basically, and it was just I felt so
I don't
terrible.
think I could finish the lot. I don't think I finished my last one, and and then like. Because you generally then have Sundays off, but I do not. I got to work still. So I was like, cheap date though.
I know. Well, people are probably listening to this and be like, don't drink then. It's easy as that.
I want to. I just want to figure out how much I can drink of that particular beer.
Yeah. It's hard when we both work in the industry.
Yeah.
Different sides of it to not drink.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day, that if I wanted to quit drinking, I would have to quit my job. Basically, it would be
That's crazy.
Pretty impossible. Yeah. Like you couldn't.
I guess the only way you could get into wine is if you enjoy wine as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to attract people that do drink.
Yeah, I think so. I think, because you get into it because you care about it. Like, why that and not somewhere else? Like, it's, that's part of it. And then, unless you had studied it for a really long time and had such a good palate, you could just do it all by smell.
Do you know people that do that? Don't drink? No.
No. Because you really have to taste wine to make sure you're selling your customer something that's not faulty.
How many sommeliers do you think are alcoholics?
Loads. Bloody loads. Because it provides such a good crutch for like, well, I couldn't stop drinking because it's part of my job.
Sounds like someone I know.
Shut up. but like, I understand that if I did develop a problem with it, I would have to quit my job to get better, basically.
What is a problem to you?
If you need to drink, physically and emotionally.
Okay. How many times a week do you drink?
Like most days, probably, but I don't get drunk.
Days.
Like nights, most nights. No, it's like something I think about because it's like, I enjoy it for sure.
Like I think we've talked about this before. It's there was a little period for me where I was like kind of relying on drinking a beer every night. So I would come home from work just to sort of chill. I would buy a 4-pack of beer every night.
Yeah.
And I got like 3 months in and I was so done with it.
Yeah. And it's
I was like to myself, I'm going to give this up during the week, you know, try not to drink through the week, leave it to the weekend, possibly just Saturday. And I did it with the beer.
Yeah.
But we generally have like wine every night.
Yeah, most nights. Yeah. Like if like
it's so much better. And when I was drinking every night with beer, because sometimes you would do it with me, but you'd be working some nights.
That's the thing as well.
And then I would still do it. So throughout the week, I'm still drinking beer every single night.
Yeah, and it's
then I would feel better the next day for not drinking beer because it does affect your sleep.
Yeah, that's true for sure.
It puts a strain on your sleep. I would wake up, even though I was having 2 beers, I wasn't going to sleep drunk or anything like that. But it feels like it just taxes your system when you're sleeping. I don't know. Maybe it's to do with your REM sleep. Maybe you're just sort of trying to deal with the the beer and everything that goes into it.
Yeah, your body's like processing it. So it's not just sleeping and recovering. It's doing whatever that is too.
And those are the times that I struggled the most to get up for work. Just, I had no willpower.
Yeah.
So that was, I think that was the big decision, was the sleep aspect for me. I was just like, I can't keep doing this.
And I think that's an interesting one, because it's not a question of like, you weren't addicted to alcohol and we still drink, and it's not anything like that. But the point of doing that, like having a couple beers after work or whatever, is to wind down and to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So if you're not enjoying it, there's no point in doing it.
I think the units you're supposed to have a week is 14. And I think that they just released figures for Scotland, that it's like the average is 19 units a week.
I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest, because units as well. Yeah, that's including people who don't drink at all.
Yeah, like
that's including zeros.
In their 80s.
Yeah, exactly, or like babies. Because people also seem to always think that units are number of drinks. That like a pint of beer is a unit, but I can't. A pint of beer is like
is it 1.5?
At least, yeah. I can't remember. We figured it out when I did my licensing course.
Right.
And
well,
it's
you
like,
should bloody know this.
I don't remember. It's numbers, pal.
It's your job to remember.
It's not really. It's not. Yeah, no, I don't remember. How would it? I don't know. Unless you were trying to, because you can't also, because my job is way more about making sure people don't get super drunk, and people are affected in different ways by the amount of alcohol they're drinking. So it's way more about people and way less about units, I think. But
you're a unit.
You're a unit. But
yeah, it's definitely, there's just people that drink and don't realize what they're doing to their body. Even though they're like me, you know, I didn't think I was drinking too much. I was just having a couple of beers.
Yeah.
Every night.
And you're talking like the small cans as well. Like you're not talking about a couple of pints a night either. That's like a pint and a half or something. Yeah.
So I was drinking every night, and after, when I stopped, I felt better, you know.
Yeah.
I could, and I think it puts you in the mindset to do other things as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you're constantly just drinking a beer every single night, you're putting off other things. You know, you could say, oh, I'm not going to train today because I want to have a pint. I want to have a beer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to chill. I can't go to training after a beer. You know, there's a lot of that going on. So definitely when you cut the drinking through the week.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have a couple of glasses of wine every night.
Yeah. We usually get through like 500 ml of wine, probably between the two of us. So that's like a massive pub glass each. I pour tiny glasses, so it's like 8 glasses each because I pour teeny tiny glasses.
Yeah, you do pour like real glasses, not like bloody, was it like soccer mums at home who fill up a whole bloody.
That drives me bloody nuts because it's like, first of all, by the time you get to the bottom of it, it's hot. You're drinking hot wine. That's gross. Like,
that's hot.
And then it's, I think, a way that people do lie to themselves as well. Like, oh, I had a glass of wine last night. No, honey, you had like. Well,
it's that old trope where most people, like mums, are posting pictures of like their one glass they're allowed a night.
Exactly.
And it's
massive. Like 500 mils. Like, I'm surprised the stem doesn't snap. And it happens a lot to me at work that people will order. Even our large glass is 175 mil. Yeah. A lot of pubs will do a 250 mil glasses. They're large. And people are like, that's not enough wine. It's like, oh my God, I can't drink. Like, I wouldn't have that. Like, I always order small glasses because then you can change your mind and you can drink 18 of them. It's like, that doesn't mean you're necessarily drinking less, but I think you lie to yourself less because you still really do end up counting glasses as opposed to like mil.
Yeah, generally people do that just to sort of, because it's easier for people in their mind just to count physical things that they can see.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think people really have a sense of the numbers unless they're working somewhere where if they work in like coffee or something, they're probably aware of it as well because you're thinking a lot more in terms of like liquid volume. But yeah, people just they just go visually. It's the same as like we have different sizes of glasses depending on what you're drinking, and people, if you serve somebody the same amount of wine in 2 different glasses, they'll think that one is big and one is small, and it ain't. It's funny.
It's funny, like in Scotland, I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but we're so tight-fisted.
Oh yeah.
That when I'm serving beers, we have pour lines on our pint glasses, so that means you have to pour it to that. So usually you get like a big head.
Yeah. You definitely get a big head.
You calm yourself. Just bringing down the tone of my podcast.
Is that because everyone tells you how great you are and it makes you...
Well, my name is great. My namesake. True. Yes. I have to live up to my namesake.
But yes.
So we have pour lines. So there's a line on the glass that you have to pour to. Generally, you'll pour the head like large.
Yeah.
So then when it comes down, when it settles, your beer is up at that line, and then you've got a bit of head. But Scottish people, they freak out. They think you're trying to cheat them out of like beer or money. You know, it's like, top that up, pal. And it was like, no, we have pour lines. This is exactly the way. And then they're like,
people are,
they can't take it.
I know. And it's like, people are so rude about stuff like that. It's so funny. It's like, how can you possibly imagine that I would derive some sort of satisfaction or benefit from stealing a milliliter of beer from you? Like, calm down. It's the same. I love the new, other than now that they're biodegradable, my new wine glasses I love because the serving size, they're completely full. Like nobody could possibly try and get me to overpour them because they'll be wearing it. Like that's, whereas the old glasses, there is quite a bit of space. So people would be like, oh, it's a small glass. I'm like, no, it's the same size of wine. It's just a different shape. Yeah. Like it's so annoying.
People are so, when they're drunk, especially, you just meet some idiots.
Yeah. Which is great because then you can cut them off. Like you obviously wouldn't act like this if you were sober. So you've clearly had too much to drink.
Do you think it's a chicken and egg situation? Like, most people I know in service hate people.
Yeah.
And it's always funny to me. Is it because they work in service, they hate people, or for some reason that, you know, they just hate people, but they're in service?
I think if you didn't already hate people, you'd definitely start. I think like when I did that licensing course again at the beginning, we had to go around and say something we loved about working in service and something we hated about it. And everyone's answer was people for both.
Oh my God.
Because it's like, and that's it. Because you have really good interactions with people sometimes as well. It's like the highs are so high and then the lows are so low.
Yeah.
I think people, this is going to be like a weird Mobius strip of complaining, but people who work in service would hate people less if everybody had to work in service at some point. Like I really think if entitled customers had to work, you know, a year or 6 months or something in service, they would act differently because they would realize that they're being knobs.
They say that with retail as well. There was like, I don't know who posted it, but I seen it was, we should get people to work in retail and customer service for a year or 6 months or whatever when they're younger, just to realize what it's like to have to serve people.
I think, like retail customer service or hospitality, you should have to. I really think so, because it teaches you so much just about like real life and how to behave.
Yeah.
I don't think I think before I worked, because I didn't come into hospitality until a bit later. Like I did sort of office stuff before that.
What was wrong with you?
Late bloomer? No, because I had other types of jobs. Like I had admin, hospitality.
Yeah, what was wrong with you?
Oh.
Just preparing for that
stress
jokes.
over my boyfriend's terrible sense of humor. No,
you don't say that when the camera's off. You're
we all
so
know
funny.
I think you're inappropriately
you're so funny.
That. Usually you make better jokes.
Usually you make better coffee.
Oh, give me back it then.
Yeah, what were you saying?
I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, we should probably get off the booze thing anyway. People are probably like, okay, how can you talk about alcohol for that long?
Oh, I always talk about alcohol for that.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I love that you work in a bar now, because I've heard like so many of the just ranting things I would do to you. Now you have them as well. And it's not that I want you to be unhappy, but it's nice that you understand where a lot of this stuff comes from now. Just like what massive children people can be.
It's just, it's bad having for people having to deal with customers when they're at probably their worst, you know, and it's when they're drunk.
But it's so weird that they're at their worst in these situations, because it's like, you're having fun. Like there's music, there's food, you bought a drink, your friends are here. Like, why are you so miserable now? Like, what must you be like at work? Like what? But I guess it is when people, you know, get quite drunk as well. I think obviously I got a few customers who have overindulged, but I don't deal with that quite as much as you. partly because it's too expensive to get really drunk on wine there.
There's a certain
it's just like a different demographic. Yeah, exactly.
Are buying wine. You know,
Yeah.
there's obviously a broader demographic, but
Yeah.
not with as much money, I guess.
Yeah, I think if you're just drinking to get pissed, you're not going to do it with wine mostly. I mean, certainly you can manage. I certainly manage, but
you could just do it in a winner, buy one bottle and down it, and you're fucked for the rest of the night.
Yeah. I had customer, and then we'll stop talking about alcohol, I promise. But I had this group of lads, and they were standing right next to the bar, and the one guy, lads. Exactly, one of them
Spice
was like,
boys or soy boys?
Somewhere in the middle, actually.
Soy boys.
Soy boys. Sauce boys. And this one lad was like, I bet you like I can down a bottle of wine in a winner kind of thing. And then came up to the bar to get a bottle of wine. And I was like, just so you know, if you drink this in a winner, you're not getting served anywhere here again. Because I could hear them. And he was like, oh, okay. And they all split it. But like I can see and hear you.
Did he run off with his lad tail between his legs?
Just about, yeah. It's funny. People are so funny.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing though. It's like if you have worked in hospitality, you probably realize that the people around you aren't furniture and can hear you. And like, I'm sorry, but we'll talk about you as well.
One of the things about you is you're quite strict with the rules. Because generally
I'm an arc.
people will bend them like slightly when I've seen them working in service, but you, because you like to have like things set in stone and proper, you stick to your guns.
It depends on the people. Like if I know
lads,
the customer and I know that they're like nice and trustworthy or whatever, then that's one thing. But it's when people are being bold. Like I'm not going to make my life easier by acquiescing to you when you're being a maniac, because it might short term make my life easier because I will have ceased arguing with you. But now you know you can get away with that. And we have a lot of repeat customers there. And then that's going to be what they expect from then on. Like if somebody complains, I've had a guy come up and try and barter with me about the price of the wine, for instance. And I know if to get him to go away, give him a discount that time, that will be what he pays for wine for the rest of forever. It won't go back up.
That's definitely one of the stranger aspects of working in sort of restaurants and service is people trying to haggle. Like, like crazy. What is wrong? Like, first of all, I don't set these prices. Like, I work for someone. Come on. And like, why then? Like, it won't help me at all to do this for you. Like, why would I do that? And like, you're not being nice about it. Yeah. People just expect it. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
You can
and
tell
it's
people that have lived a privileged life. You can hear it and see it.
Yeah. Because they're like surprised when you just won't do whatever mad thing they want. And that's another reason I'm strict, is because you have so few opportunities in hospitality where you get to say like for sure no.
Yeah.
Because most things it's a negotiation and you're bending the rules a bit, but you're trying to mitigate for somebody because they want something and you can't really do it, but you're going to do your best. And so when you actually get to say no, like, can I buy my 15-year-old a glass of wine? No, you can't. That's it. No
Shouldn't
negotiation.
Even ask that.
Exactly. Like it's stuff like that, or like.
So anyway, moving on from booze
and complaining about being in hospitality, everyone's favorite pastime who works there. Yeah.
Something probably light in the mood. Did you see this? The Pakistani government, for some reason,
the cat filter.
Like, why is an official government streaming on whatever it was? Was it Snapchat?
Exactly.
They must have been streaming on Snapchat.
Yeah.
So they're having some sort of, this must how it work in Pakistan. You know, this must be an example, but they're Snapchatting their sort of their meeting, and they ended up having their cat filter on.
Yeah.
So every time someone was like turning around to face the camera, that just appeared the filter.
I would like it so much if we just handled politics that way from now on.
Hell yeah.
I would really, really
they should do
like
that
it
with
a lot.
Holyrood's.
Definitely.
I mean, I think the Scottish Parliament is slightly better than the English Parliament, and that's just
racist.
Just how it works and how they sort of speak to each other, but at the same time, all of it's just nonsense.
Oh God,
just
it's
how
ridiculous.
it's like they say, it's like a men's club.
Yeah.
Like the toxicness of it, not the fact that it's all just men or whatever, but just the way it is. Even the women, and even they're sort of being like bitchy to each other. And
it's just like, have you ever heard the term female chauvinist pig? It's like they've totally bought into that. It is like the hooting and the hollering, and
I just don't get it.
It's insane.
Like
it's
who does that? Which young person relates to that?
Yeah, and it's weird that it's like it's attained a formal quality where you're like required to behave that way. Like it's tradition for some reason to act like a bunch of monkeys.
It's like the more you get into it, the more you act like they did fucking like 100 years ago. People that are like so into it and cheering you on, and it's just
so
like
weird. And it's so easy to imagine them starting
just
to like throw apples at each other, and like it just seems so like retro, like old retro. I
had a guest on Smithy. He's been on a few times, but we were talking about when him and I had this discussion a little bit, and we sort of broached the subject, and I was talking about how I don't think it works, the whole system, and he was pretty saying, well, we need something, and it's been around for so long, and you picked up on something that was surprising, like just because it's old doesn't mean it's great. Like it doesn't mean that we should continue to do it. Yeah. As a nation that's moved on, as people that have moved on and understand the world slightly better from when it was established, there must be a better way. Yeah, than and like this bloody hollering and fucking trying to. It's all it is one-upmanship. That's all Parliament is. It's all about performing for your own backbench and then trying to one-up everyone.
And even if you look at it, I'll get back to the sort of system thing, but even if you look at it even if you thought all the results they were getting were perfect, you'd have to still look at it and say, surely this could be more efficient.
Probably.
Like, surely
we're spending... Don't call me Shirley as well.
Stop calling me Shirley. But like, surely we're spending quite a bit of time yelling. Maybe that time, like, there are still quite a lot of problems to solve. Yeah. Perhaps we could spend more time doing that and less like throwing our shoes at each other. Like that maybe would be do you think a practical approach?
It's something that is ingrained in Parliament, that is not something. Imagine if we started again. Is it something that would come about again? Is it just natural for that to happen when you have that group of people and what they're doing? Or is it something that we could get rid of? This sort of the way it works, not Parliament itself, but just that part of it.
That's a really interesting question. I think, because I don't think all parliaments function that way. It seems to be especially a thing in the UK. Not that all other parliaments everywhere stay orderly or whatever, but I don't think it's a necessary part of or I don't think it's an inevitable part of the process. I think like there are loads of things we've convinced people mainly not to do. You can't get them all to stop doing it. Don't put your feet on the seats on the train, like that kind of thing. Some people are still going to, but most people you can get them not to. Mostly.
Don't put your foot on the rest of someone else's rest on an airplane.
Yes, don't do that. Or I'll bite you, first of all. I don't care what disease I get. I think the bigger problem to me is, so there's one kind of mechanical problem, which is how do you persuade a system to reform itself? Because they are the people who would have to decide to do that. Like it's sort of like a closed loop almost.
Yeah, because they don't see an issue with it. When you're in there and you're part of that, and your whole life is sort of led up to this, that is something that you're just in, like you have sort of blinkers on, you're insulated, and you don't see any issues with what is happening.
Yeah. And it's also just from like a practical and sort of laziness perspective. It's kind of like when one generally cleans one's house.
Oh, one.
When one generally cleans one's house.
Who's got a bloody monocle on now?
It would make a lot more sense and probably be a lot more effective to like move all the furniture and vacuum everything properly and take the stuff out of the cupboards and wipe them down. But it's like, that's so much work and you can mostly work around stuff. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of impulse to work around stuff and just keep doing the day to day.
Is there any government or anything that's like that you sort of admire? I don't know if you can speak much on it, but is there something you've seen in the world that you're like, oh, that works in this way better? Or
I think when, you're not going to like this, but when Justin Trudeau first got into office, and his idea was, in terms of all his ministers of like transport and health and stuff like that, the idea wasn't that he'd appoint his buddies or politically expedient people. It was that he'd appoint people who were experts in those fields. Who did not necessarily, who had more experience in those fields than political experience. I think that's a really good idea. I don't know if that's really what happened or how it's worked, but I think
it seemed like it was all like mouth, like he was just moving his mouth.
Yeah.
And he didn't actually act on it really, you know.
He did seem to appoint a cabinet of that style. It just doesn't, I don't know how that's worked since then. Yeah. Basically.
It's trying to plug your bloody USB into an old plug, you know, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and
you can bring something new to it,
yeah,
but you're going to have an adapter or something.
And especially if you have a system of government where you have those people to work with, but you have, say, a Senate that's full of dying old men, you're still only going to get so much done, I assume.
Bloody old men.
There certainly are quite a lot of them in these institutions.
Do you think they should open up the age for which you can start politics and become maybe a prime minister?
Well, I don't think there is. Is there an official age limit?
No, maybe not.
I don't think so.
But, or maybe prime minister or the president of the United States as well. These are things that most people tend to not trust someone who's younger. Which is weird because now I've got somebody who's like 70 and that's not a great idea either because it's like a shouting old man. I think they should have a cap on the sort of the upper end of when someone can do it, and a cap maybe, not that anyone would ever appoint someone who was like too young or whatever for, I wonder who was the youngest president. Anyway, but it seems this is why it takes so long for things to change in these systems, is because these are these old guys that were born maybe 60, 70 years ago. Yeah. You know, how did they relate to anyone that's younger? Who these, when they're bringing in stipulations and rules and all these things, that's the people that get affected by it, you know? Yeah, it's true. How can anyone relate to someone who's like in their 70s talking about things and then when they make decisions that affect younger people, it's just, there's just such a huge gap.
I think even more than that, it's the economic gap as well. Like even pretty much no matter, like America, supposedly it's all the American dream and bootstraps and stuff like that, but you still have to be either raise a ton of money or have a lot of money to become the president. In the UK, as we keep seeing, you have to have gone to fancy school and be fancy. Like, if you don't know the price of a loaf of bread, like how can you make decisions for, if you don't know what it's like to not have, like how do you make decisions that take things away from people? Then it's very perverse. Yeah, I think that more than the age thing almost. The age thing is weird because you need somebody with a certain amount of experience, I think, but you also need somebody like okay, young people, Justin Trudeau, he's super young. Like what difference has that made? I don't really think any.
Can't be too young when it becomes a brand thing. Like it has to be someone who's like...
Yeah. Okay, so like Emmanuel Macron, he's like, he was in his late 30s maybe. Okay. And he's doing pretty much the same stuff. Like I think the problem is that first they are all politicians. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah.
That is the issue. Is the political, being a politician is something that is very strict. You know, it's a very closed bracket. Yeah. There's not much leeway when it comes to that, depending on which party you're from, but still it's the same. Like a politician is a politician.
And we have these, I think the party thing is a huge problem as well. Like usually even places with more than two parties, you still have basically two parties that are expected to be diametrically opposed to each other. How are you supposed to get anything done? Like that is not how that system is supposed to work. Yeah. It just kind of cancels the whole thing out. And it feeds into this problem we seem to be having now where if I don't like you, I can't agree with you. And if I don't agree with you, I can't like you. Like it's very weird.
One of my friends, Bob Garrett, he said like, it was, if you disagree with someone, basically you become someone's enemy now.
It's true.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. It's like we can't separate our identities from our opinions and from, and even just
I think
this basic, like, if I don't like this, this is bad. Like understanding that some things are objective and some things are subjective and some things are confusing and complicated.
The internet's definitely exacerbated it. I think that's the main cause of this sort of unrest and friction in the world. But I think it's just an adjusting period. Justin Bieber.
It's a Justin period.
Justin Trudeau in it. It's an adjustment, like this period where we're still trying to figure out how to live our lives with in close sort of contact somewhat with people all over the world, and from all different walks, and everyone has an opinion and everyone's able to voice that on the internet, and we're still trying to just adjust where it's still new, you know.
It's almost like, because it's sort of an information overload, we've taken a step back and we're like, oh God, we need to organize this stuff into black and white, and then we'll get back to having nuanced thoughts after that.
First start like wanking, you know, like you're doing it like every fucking 5 hours, you know, probably like more in that period. But then when you get older, it just like sort of fizzles itself out. You know, it's just because it's new, you know, we're having all this friction, so everyone's just like full on, and I think it'll sort of settle, and we won't have as much unrest. Do you think? I
think the analogy I would go with is like, if you're...
Wait a minute, you wouldn't go with masturbating?
I would not go with that analogy, no.
When in doubt,
for a variety of public and private reasons. If you are a person who is suddenly woken up in a jungle and you're surrounded by all sorts of plants and you don't know which ones you can eat and which ones will kill you, when you start off, you're just going to be trying to figure out this one good, that one bad. And then once you settle in, maybe you get to the point of like, this one's poison unless I cook it. Or like, if I pickle this, it will be fine. Like that kind of thing. It gets, once you're settled in a bit, once you're less overwhelmed, you have more ability to like pick and choose and follow things through. But when it's that initial like, oh crap, it is maybe a reflex to just sort.
Like relatively the way we've had the internet compared to the rest of history, it's been as much as doing that. It was pretty much overnight. Like, so we're having to deal with being so connected to people and everyone coming from loads of different places. You know, I think the border sides of it is the issue as well. There's lots of contributing factors to why we have so much friction. But those are definitely things that play a part in it.
Yeah, like it's giving you more stuff to have friction with. I think it also is very, and I think more and more now, this is actually going to be maybe a tie into talking about Black Mirror a little bit, but yes. So our identities within ourselves are, I think, at the beginning of a long process of becoming less stable or like changing into a way that we have a hard time recognizing. So like the more we talk about things like either biological things like cloning and head transplants and stuff like that, or technological things like AI and virtual reality, we are maybe looking at the end of what was a relatively brief historical era where the individual was of primary importance.
Right.
I think we think of that now as an inevitable thing, like individuality.
Yeah.
But this is relatively a blip, I think, on the history of mankind in terms of how we relate to ourselves and each other. Yeah. It's sort of like the...
What do you mean? What's the blip?
People prizing individuality or even thinking about individuality. I think it's a relatively modern thing, and we think of it as being what people are like because it's what we're like. but it hasn't always been what people were like.
Are you
and
talking
it might
about
not be
self?
in the future. Yeah. Well, identity, like,
I know.
Yeah. I don't get what you.
No, I was just I know that you were listening to another podcast where they were talking about the self, but it was more. It was more woo woo.
Yeah, I think was that the Duncan Trussell one. Yeah. I don't really remember that part of it, to be honest.
It was pretty much they talked about it for the whole 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
I'm talking more about.
I know. I was just being.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember what they said about it, so I can't.
Yeah, but
can't comment. But
it's definitely just this point where something's going to happen. You know, it's either going to be bad or good. You know, I think something.
I don't know if it's necessarily going to be either bad or good either. I think.
Well, it's all sort of relative, whether it's bad or good, because some people are on one side of a thought, and there's loads of people on the other. So ultimately, it can't be bad for the whole world, but it's definitely going to be something that either this, like, bringing it back to capitalism, you know, that is something that is definitely something that's at odds with how the progression of the world and how people think now. It's becoming more heated, and sort of there's more friction between that now than there ever have been, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's either going to go that way, or there's going to be something. I don't even know how to put it in words.
Yeah, I've not
really formulated my idea.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But it's basically,
I think we're talking. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing.
Generally, yeah. Yeah.
Because I still think if you're looking at like problems with capitalism, you're still basically looking at the individual versus the system.
Yeah. But I think we just have to realize that we're all sort of. It sounds hippie-ish, but we're all connected.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to figure out ways to sort of break down the walls that we've all built up over years. Like,
yeah. Okay. I get you. Yeah. It's
like mental walls and physical walls.
Yeah.
That people, you know, the answer is not more of that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
As we become more connected.
Yeah.
We have to sort of just dissolve those notions of like nationalism and patriotism.
And I think I'm talking about sort of a step further than that, where, for instance, our bodies are going to end up not meaning that much to us in terms of potentially our personhood is one thing. And then the idea that if I guess this is sort of what Joe and Duncan Trussell were talking about, but if you can repeat yourself, like if you can be in more than one place at once or have different experiences at the same time.
This is random, but do you think they'll have sex in the future?
Us? I think.
Do you think it'll change?
Yeah, I think probably.
Or is it something that's, even though it drives our evolution, it has done for so long?
I think it might get more separate from reproduction.
I think eventually, yeah, true. But I think eventually that will be just part of our monkey biology that we give up just to be more.
Yeah.
Same with like, there's ideas of like privacy, like I'm of the notion that the idea of privacy will become sort of more vacant as we sort of as we progress as a civilization. You know, it's only inevitable with technology that these things are just old ideas,
and it certainly has become less of a thing than since even we were kids in terms of sacrificing privacy for safety.
So I think that's the same idea when it comes to sex. I think people are just. That is just an old hang up from your biology. I mean, if we merge with machines.
Yeah. I think we're still a lot closer to the monkey end of the scale than to that end of the scale. Because if you look at like, people just cannot resist impulses they have at this point, like whether it's sex or food or whatever, like we're still we think we're so great. put a man on the moon, but we still can't really make ourselves not eat junk food, let alone have sex. Like so I see what you're saying for sure. I think I have a hard time imagining a future that goes on long enough for us to get to that point. I feel like we're going to probably destroy the world before we get there. But I think probably that is inevitable.
Yeah. Because biology is dangerous, especially, like when we're driven to do these things.
But it is also what motivates us to do a lot of the good stuff we do as well.
But imagine if you cut all that out and just had the part that had the drive.
We definitely wouldn't have. Well, how would you do that though? What would be?
If we became as advanced as we could be, and we merge with a computer or sort of like robots, I think you're transcending your biology. Like, what is your biology? It is something that's physical. Is there any part of your biology that isn't physical? No.
Well, but what about your brain? Like, what about your thoughts and personality? How much is that biological and how much is it not?
But your thoughts are shaped by your biology. Yeah. Like, you have certain things that you think. Yeah. And that's only because of your body that you've been in.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, I don't have any idea what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah. Wink. Massive wink. I don't even do that. But then, so how do you separate your biology from your personality? So will we just not have personalities in the future?
Who says that if you're not in your biological body that you don't have a personality?
But if you...
Do computers have personalities?
Not yet.
But if you have a laptop, you know how your laptop works. There's sort of bugs.
Yeah, but that's like biology. That's a laptop biology.
No, but it's hardware.
Yeah, but it works more like biology than a personality, I would say.
I guess. But it works more like a robot than...
But nothing motivates it.
No, but those are just little ghosts in the sort of system.
Yeah.
Ghosts in the machine that make it sort of act a certain way. Like, one laptop is not the same from another. Yeah. Like, your laptop. Yeah. If I was to go on it, I'd just be like... Yeah. Oh, this is weird.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's not enough.
But it's quirks. It's the quirks that make it have something of a personality, if you know what I'm saying.
It does, but that's so far away from the big moving mechanisms of a personality that make people want to accomplish things. Yeah. And like achieve, like how many people would
way
be...
down the line though.
Yeah. No, I know, but like how many people would be artists or musicians or sports players if they weren't a tiny bit motivated by wanting to impress somebody? Or
did you get into art to impress someone?
No, but I've definitely...
You got into art because that's what you've been surrounded by, like books and words and art and paintings and creativity.
Yeah, I don't mean like you consciously choose to pick up something to impress somebody, but like part of what you're going to like about another person is the stuff they do. Yeah. You know?
But liking something is part of biology. Like your need to reproduce, your need to
exactly
have a band of people to sort of protect you from other people.
So if you don't need that, why do anything?
Well, you're getting into nihilism here, but
exactly. No, totally. That's what I'm imagining.
Nihilistic?
Not yet. I'm imagining a future where what would motivate us to keep going? Because like really, if we all had computer brains and we looked at what we're doing to the planet, we should stop. Like we should stop being. Yeah, that would be the best thing to do.
But if say an AI comes along and is super close to an AI, the one that everyone thinks of, this one that is sort of like sentient,
the one that we think about in our human brains,
would they not just destroy themselves then because they don't have those impulses? Why wouldn't they just cease to exist?
They're written by people with those impulses, though.
Why would they have drive to keep going if they wouldn't be just nihilistic and be like, I'm turning myself off?
Well, we don't know that they wouldn't.
Well, they might do.
Yeah.
But your computer doesn't turn itself up. Well,
no, it's not an AI. So.
Your one probably would turn itself off.
I can't turn my one off.
I can't do it anymore. I'm full.
Like we still like AI isn't something that's gonna come around separate from us. It's something that we'll have created. It's going to be in our image for a long time, at least, probably, or maybe not that long, because maybe that can sort that out. But.
I think the ex machina idea of AI is just it's genius, and I don't know why no one ever. Maybe it's in some sci-fi books from back in the day, but taking everything from everyone's sort of search queries, you know, their version of Google. That's how they built the brain, and I just thought that's unbelievable. Like. Civilization and the internet gave birth to AI.
Yeah.
That's just, there's so much imagination in that. And I think it's like when you watch it and you see that, you're just like, of course they fucking would.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it just makes you wonder, like if that's something, it's sort of poetic in a way when they said that. There's something so beautiful about that actually. And it makes sense that would be what they would do, maybe. It's a wonderful film, and it's very that's very logical but very elegant. And you're right about it being simple.
sort of
but it's just makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know what my point was anyway.
It's sort of, I guess it's sort of, it's weird as well, because like a lot of art of that, like say, even I'll include like Star Trek and this, whatever influences our picture of the future.
Yeah.
So already by somebody having thought of that, it's part of the fabric of what is to come kind of thing. Like it's in the same way that like maybe we have cell phones because of communicators from Star Trek, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. But when we're engaging with technology, it's like sort of quantum physics. Just by merely engaging with something changes it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with computers, you know, like when you're interacting with something like that, it's going to have an effect on it regardless.
I think also like, well, we're the ones who are making technology, like until we get to a point where like AI and robotics is so removed from us, like we're still making technology about humans and we will continue to do that. But
everything is a product of its environment. Like you yourself were affected by where you grew up, how you grew up. And those are like, and the climate from where you came from as well. Those are all things that had an effect on you.
For sure.
And it's the same with sort of computers and AI.
Yeah.
You know, interacting with that is going to have an effect, obviously.
Oh, for sure. But you're interacting with stuff that's still designed for humans at this point as well. So it's not possible to separate our motivations from the motivations of technology yet.
That was it. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I just thought of something about sex. The art thing. No, well, sort of about the art thing and like, not now. Why people pursue things. And of course, as you were saying, I didn't start doing art to impress anybody. But why do we choose to, like, I chose to pursue art because I grew up in
product of your environment.
Product of my environment, and whatever comes from natural talent, whatever that is, because I was good at it. Why didn't I choose to work hard at something I was bad at and get better at it? I chose to do something that came easily to me and that I enjoyed, but it was also because it got a good response from people.
But you weren't born like a great artist.
No, I still haven't become a great artist, but I'm working on it. You know what I mean?
But you had the capacity. There's just like, it's like a sort of on and off switch. You know, you were born with the on switch.
Yeah, that's a good
for art.
I like that.
And a lot of
thing.
people are born with an off switch when it comes to art.
Yeah,
but
why don't
they still have to go through the process of getting better?
Yeah,
it's the motivations. What how you grew up, what you're surrounded by, and if you have drive. But
you're also going to do something that you get positive feedback from.
Yeah. But what constitutes positive feedback?
Like that's good. Put it on the fridge. Yeah.
For some people who are in dire places, who are just driven by the mere fact of accomplishing something, like, I've not been able to draw this eyeball before, and now I'm starting to get it.
Oh yeah, there's internal parts of it. I'm not saying it's only external.
Yeah.
I just I'm saying that there is an aspect of people pursuing things that they do to like fit into a community and like have a place. And then that leads into maybe like having a family, like that kind of thing, that there are biological motivations behind trying to succeed at something. Yeah. That's what I'm going for. Yeah. So if you remove the biological motivations, what's left is the question.
Could be just pure raw creativeness.
It could be, or it could be total apathy.
Or
and that's the thing that
nihilism.
we don't know yet. Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm saying is we don't know yet how much we need of the monkey stuff to actually get stuff done.
We all become German nihilists.
Yes.
The nihilists.
At least we have a ferret.
We're obviously referencing the Big Lebowski. Lebowski. And it's also I can't remember his name. But the guy that has the gun, it's his birthday today actually. He was in Roseanne.
I don't know who's in Roseanne, and are we still talking about the Big Lebowski?
Yeah, the guy that he plays bowling with, not the other guy. I'm butchering this. Anyway, moving
it's
on.
That guy's happy birthday, that guy. But yeah, just to underline that, what I'm saying is we don't know.
Dan from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Big Dan?
Yeah, I don't know the actor's name.
Okay.
I know who you mean now.
Anyway.
But what I'm saying is we don't know who we are if we subtract the monkey at this point, and only the future can tell.
Maybe that's what's holding us back though.
Yeah, totally. Or maybe it's all that's keeping us going. Just either way, we don't know. We don't know.
But I still love the idea, and we've spoke about this a little bit, that we're sort of technology is the dominant force in the universe. I think maybe that could be a possibility, and technology is what creates biology to sort of then create itself and sort of seed itself around the universe. You know, it's kind of like some sort of technological panspermia.
I think the version of that I understand isn't that technology creates biology. It's that biology creates technology, but we're a throwback and it's the dominant thing.
But my idea is that technology is the universal force.
Yeah.
So then, you know, it is something that doesn't need time. You know, it doesn't age. It doesn't get like sort of like falls apart like biology does. So the universe uses biology to sort of create itself and then goes from place to place.
So like the whatever the sex organs of
totally
that thing, I can't remember.
But we are not the sort of the chicken and egg situation. We're an in between stage. For the sort of, because that's the only thing that could survive space is technology. You know, you get to a point where you're able to create that. And if you become a robot or an AI or an android, that is something that you can then go across the universe and not have to suffer any sort of effects. Sorry, I think someone's done something in the background there.
Oh. You always say that on the podcast, and I
I
can never hear what's in the background. It's a siren, ladies and gentlemen. It's nothing.
I'll leave the compressor out for that bit and everyone can hear. But yeah, like we're the sort of in-between stage. From something that's I'm just like hypothesizing here.
No, it's an interesting theory. I can't remember who said the original quote about the sex organs thing.
Yeah.
That was quite good.
Yeah, it's a good one. But I was taking it that step further by saying that the universe, that technology is the all driving force in the universe, as opposed to biology coming around and then being like technology comes into itself by having these sex organs sort of, you know, create itself.
Yeah. I have a harder time with that because that almost requires like a god, basically. That requires a plan.
I don't think.
Because otherwise, like, we were here first, basically.
Technology.
You can't really.
I think technology is just, and what I'm saying, I think technology is inevitable.
Okay. Yeah, that part I totally get. It's the part where it caused us somehow.
No matter what someone does, any action that sort of betters itself, it's always through technology. You know, when we start throwing spears, that's technology. You know, it's a rudimentary form, but that like is like the ad-adal, that's technology. These are all things that is used to better and push, and it just feels like there's
and to play devil's advocate, a lot of the horrible stuff we've done has been through technology as well. But no, it's just I don't think you can argue that we didn't come first.
I'm not sure.
How would we not have?
I'm not sure. I think maybe, the whole panspermia thing. It seems like for technology to take over the universe, not in a sort of bad way. It sort of throws out biology, and then technology obviously doesn't the millions of years that passes, and then biology comes around and evolves to the time where it can create advanced machines, and then that's how some sort of technology then seeds itself through the universe.
Okay, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of what I mean by you have to really believe in something that has happened that we don't know about, which is fine. I just don't.
I'm just sort of.
No, it's interesting. I think the other thing that's interesting is, and this is certainly something we've heard on a few podcasts, is if we via technology or as technology or through technology get to that advanced a stage, maybe we'll get over our thing of having to go to other planets and do stuff, and we'll kind of go in and experience things virtually. That's another interesting.
It could go either way.
Yeah, totally.
I think a good example of that is the late is it Love, Death and Robots? Like that? We watched the episode where it's the something blue, remember?
Zima
Blue. And if you haven't watched it, watch it on Netflix. It's an absolutely brilliant series, and it's just shorts of animated and CGI driven stories, but they're just fantastic.
They're really interesting. It's nice to have an anthology kind of short thing.
And
very cool.
There's an episode called Zima Blue, and it's just about an artist who's sort of reclusive, doesn't do any interviews, and has sort of eventually used technology to sort of transform his body so he doesn't have to breathe air. So he's super hardened skin means that he can go from planet to planet and
and experience
and sit in lava, and it's like that's the ultimate experience. Imagine if you're able to do that though. That's so cool.
It's really interesting. But just to play devil's advocate, what if it's the monkey part of you that wants to do that, and the technology part of you would realize that you don't need to do that?
Well, I don't want to give a spoiler away for that episode, but he wasn't a human.
Oh yeah, no, totally. But that's a human's idea.
So he eventually, he started off as a robot.
A pool cleaning robot, which I love. That's great. But you see what I mean? Is that a human impulse maybe?
What, to experience the universe?
Yeah. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
So say AI comes around somehow. They still have to have a drive in there,
Do they?
I guess for it to be an AI, I think you have learning and all these things like self-learning that takes some level of need to better yourself.
Or just programming.
True. But that would then just mean you're a calculator.
Yeah.
We're talking about AI.
Yeah.
Which has some sort of base level of...
Well, it's an intelligence.
An intelligence. Yeah. So intelligence itself out with biology. Is there intelligence out with biology?
Maybe in ways that we don't understand.
Yeah. So that means it's not like a human thing to then be creative.
No, but it's again, the drives, the conquering new worlds thing, that seems to me to be a pretty old school human thing, No,
I totally agree with you on that one.
It's just, there are different possibilities.
There are. So you were mentioning earlier on about Black Mirror.
Yeah, so I thought the episodes, not so much the middle episode, but the first one and the third one.
So the new season's out if you are living in a bloody hole somewhere. But I've been, there's only 3 episodes, strangely. Maybe they spent all their money going to South America.
Maybe.
And filming there.
Pretending it's Los Angeles or whatever. I liked that though. It was cool.
I wonder, I don't know if they're going to release more.
I don't know what the plan is. I didn't even know there was another season coming out until it came out. No, the one that just came out. I didn't know there was. No.
So there's only 3 episodes. They're like an hour each long. They've done 6 in past episodes, past seasons.
Yeah.
Sorry. Generally, that's the sort of what they follow. So I don't know why they've went with 3. Maybe.
Yeah, unless they're releasing more. I don't know.
They've not really done that before, have they?
I don't know. You know way more about it than I do. I haven't even seen most of it.
Usually I just watch them when they all come out.
Yeah. I haven't seen most of them still.
Yeah, that is true. We have to go through them all and watch some more.
Definitely. They're very exhausting because you get like all the intensity of a movie in an hour.
Yeah.
So you're like, after.
I did enjoy the first one. Mm-hmm. The one where it's about going into sort of a game world and it's VR. I can't remember the name of the episode. And that's what I was going to
talk about in terms of identity.
Yeah.
But also the third one, which is the infamous now Miley Cyrus one. I thought the middle one was good, but it's something that could basically be now, and it's just a good drama.
Yeah.
And the acting's great. But it wasn't like that didn't raise any questions for me.
I love the first one just because it's 2 black main characters. Mm-hmm. It's slightly in the future, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but I just loved how they were sort of challenging like the sort of the stereotypes of certain, like not even stereotypes, but like there is a sort of level of homophobia in sort of black communities from certain places that this documented, and these guys were challenging that as 2 black actors. They were playing people who were in a VR world having sex.
Yeah, and as different people. And then they had to kind of
I just thought it was great. Like it was such, it was very, everyone I spoke to about that was so uneasy about that episode. And I was like, that's because it worked. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel uneasy and challenge your ideas about what identity is.
Exactly. Yeah.
About what sex is. You know, what constitutes being gay, what constitutes being straight, friends, black, white, Asian, and all these things that just don't really matter when it comes to technology.
And that was what I thought was the most interesting about it, because a lot of the stuff I've read about it have been on the basis of like, are they gay or not? Which to me is the least interesting part of it, which is like, that's
such a reduction of this.
Yeah, exactly. It's really reductive. And I think it's so much more about identity and that becoming, like I was sort of trying to talk about earlier, but becoming more fractured and less centered on the individual. Like
fractured butthole.
Yes, fractured butthole. But like let's say, and that made me like Anthony Mackie so much more as well, which was good. Good choice, Anthony Mackie.
We're both people that are not that huge on him.
I just find him really dull and other stuff.
He's like a sort of he's like a sort of a really, if Will Smith had sort of, had a different career, he's not really like that.
Yeah, he's that level of kind of like affable and like lame cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But then that was perfect for his character in this.
Showed his chops as well.
Like, he did a good job.
They both, like, I don't know the other guy's name that he acted alongside who played his best friend.
He was great.
Even his wife as well, and all the sort of stuff in between.
Yeah, it was nice
that.
seeing her in something else because she was in Shame and she was great. But she was really good in that too.
And it was great. They acted their ass off. Mm-hmm. And this is something that's not even on TV. This is a streaming service that's making these shows and producing them.
Yeah.
That are challenging like sort of social stigmas.
Yeah, and like looking at ways we relate to, and I think also with the Miley Cyrus episode, it's how we relate to ourselves and how do we, that's hard enough now when we're only one person. But as it gets more complicated in the future, as we start becoming,
because we're already, like, just to lead on from what you're saying, we're already having troubles with identity. Imagine that when it's in the future, when things are so much more blurred.
Yeah, and we already can't sort out. Like, I think that's a big problem with how we relate to each other online is we forget we're ourselves or we act differently because we're not face to face with someone.
Yeah.
I remember when I started going on like MSN Messenger when I was like in middle school, and people will say stuff to you on that they would never say to your face, and realizing that and being like, oh my God, you would never say that to me. But now because
Did
you
someone
feel
say to you, you got a B in your last test?
no, never.
Laura was a complete swat.
Actually, not until like grade 9 or 10.
Late bloomer.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't figure out
Math.
why to care about stuff until then. And then I figured out if I got good grades, I could go do whatever I wanted, basically. Nice. So then I tried hard.
Anyway.
But
I digress.
Yeah, that like we're already fracturing our personalities. And even the way like people use Instagram and like this idealized version of yourself that you do or consciously do not try to put forward, like whether you're a no filter person or you're a like complete
filter person.
A filter person. It's just all Jewish snacks. No, if you're already creating a version, and I mean we do that when we relate to each other as well. Like you're a different version of yourself to different people. Some people to greater and sometimes more harmful extents than others. I think to a certain point, I'm going to be different from my boss than I am with my friends. Like that's appropriate. But if you're like pretending you're an idiot so a boy likes you, but you're not, like that's when it gets into like, don't do that. Maybe find a better boy. And then you get into, there's this level of like social media platforms and like, who am I maybe on Facebook? And is that different from who I am on Instagram? And is that different from who I am in real life? And then if you start getting into hypothetically virtual reality, you can genuinely be an entirely different person.
Yeah.
And so questions of individuality become a lot more complicated. Like maybe I'm a straight person in my day-to-day life, but that person, your gender can be different. You're like, who knows? Like it gets, and I think that's so much more interesting than like, but are they gay? Because it's not even going to be a relevant question pretty soon.
And it's maybe to do with, there is the question of, are my actions my identity?
Yeah.
Does what I do, it doesn't have any effect on how I am,
Yeah.
Because they're having sex in this VR game. Does that mean they're gay?
Yeah, and if you're
one, it's an Asian guy. Two, it's an Asian girl.
Yeah, they're different people completely,
different races,
but they're not.
A guy and a girl. They're having sex in this virtual world that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
they're these two black guys in IRL.
IRL.
But they're doing these actions. Does that make them gay?
Yeah, and and I think it's like ultimately such.
I'm not saying that's a question, but I'm saying like that's.
Yeah, it's like an idea because that's, I mean, I think how a lot of people have interpreted that episode, but I think it's much more about if you can locate your identity in different places, how do you tell yourself apart from yourself? Like it's an interesting idea.
I know. Yeah.
And then in the Miley Cyrus one as well, it's like they've got this AI of her that lives in this doll.
So many people were like just saying it was a shit episode.
I don't really see why. Like
it was the lowest rated episode on IMDb for any of the Black Mirror's episodes. I'm not sure exactly what the percentage was, but it was the lowest rated one.
And I bet you could do the exact same episode, but not have it be Miley Cyrus, and people would think really differently about it.
I don't know. I think that episode was meant to be slightly tongue in cheek for it.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think she was supposed to be a bit like sort of ham.
Yeah.
Maybe they just leaned into that because they knew Miley was playing this part. They thought, how do we make this sort of flow a bit more? Make her a bit more sort of like ham. But because there was a huge difference between her in real life and her personality when she was the doll. But she was fucking hilarious when she was the doll. Yeah. I was like, is this the same episode? Yeah. Her voice acting's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's obviously really good.
Just because she's a singer, she knows how to use her voice. Yeah. But I was like, she's hilarious.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was good.
But maybe that's what they're sort of leaning into.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't think there's anything in that episode that you couldn't say about Because a lot of the Black Mirror episodes are quite different from each other in tone. Yeah. And you do get ones that are like verging on goofy. And I think it fits into that.
Crocodile, which is fucking just.
You have ones that are like completely horrifying and super bleak. And then ones that are like almost like manically funny.
Yeah.
But like, it's like you're gonna sneeze. Like it's that kind of feeling where you're like, ah.
Yeah. Like the blackmail one is just intense. Have you seen that one?
I don't. Which one is that?
It's the black and white one that's set in the future, and there's sort of these Boston, the Boston robotics thing.
Yeah.
The dogs.
Black metal. Yeah.
Blackmail,
yeah. They said blackmail. And I was like, oh.
I thought it said blackmail.
I heard blackmail.
I said
blackmail.
I cut out my T because I'm Scottish. I don't know.
Scottish.
I don't know if you know this. I said black metal. I'm not American. I'm not male.
Blackmail.
Australian.
Blackmail.
Blackmail.
You should throw it out if it's gone black. It's not good anymore.
But yeah, it was a really good episode. Mm-hmm. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we watched it together.
It's pretty dark.
That was me. And then quite bright in some parts. Yes. Yeah, that, I don't know. I like the idea of that one a lot, but it wasn't my favorite episode because it's sort of like once you get what they're going for, then that's all it is kind of thing. Like it's very intense emotionally, but it's not a thinker. I like the thinkers. I like the ones that are like, oh my God, but what if? Yeah.
Yeah, you're just sort of like mentally mind fucked.
Yeah.
For like an hour, and afterwards you're just like,
yeah. They should do like they should Shirley Jackson it and just do like a normal one and completely fuck with everyone. Like you're waiting for the weird bad thing to happen and just nothing happens.
Like an episode of Friends. I thought they were going to do that with the Star Trek one. Like I thought the whole episode was. I
love that one.
I thought the whole episode was just going to be them on this
like
ship,
ridiculous mission.
and it's just going to be like a normal. But then it cut to them in real life.
Yeah.
Like,
that one was awesome. I loved
it. It was
that
really
one.
good.
It was really good. Yeah, that was one of the first ones I saw. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But so Shirley Jackson, who's the author of The Lottery, the one where spoiler alert,
they all die.
It all seems normal, and then everyone gets stoned to death or whatever it is. Not
like smoking weed.
No,
like they all
like
get
with rocks.
stoned.
Yeah. Or somebody, one or two people do. I can't remember. Anyway, but basically it's like, it all seems normal, but you get the sense that something is a little bit amiss. And then, it turns out something is horribly amiss. A lot of her short stories, you get that sense the whole time and then nothing bad actually happens. Okay. But because the first one everyone has always read as The Lottery, you go through the rest of her short stories and you're like, and then that's really the only one where anything like that happens.
For me, it was kind of I was feeling that way with the latest one with Miley.
Yeah,
I was like, because even you were like gripping my arm when you were watching it because I watched it before you did.
Yeah, and I forgot that you'd already seen it. Yeah,
so when you were watching it, I could see you bracing but the doll.
Yeah, I was like, it's gonna murder her.
I thought the same. Like when she started flipping out, I thought this is it. This is where it's gonna get like interesting.
Yeah.
Well, not interesting, but like spicy.
It's gonna like kill the sister or something.
But they went in I think maybe they purposely went in a different direction.
Yes,
just
totally.
to sort of be like, it is an obvious misdirect.
Yeah, and it's usually like often the locus for the bad thing to happen in Black Mirror is the technology, and in that one it was mainly the auntie. Yeah, like she would have been a shit with or without technology, kind of thing. So yeah,
and but it is a fantastic series.
I definitely want to see more of the other episodes.
Yeah, we should watch the older ones.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen, at least they're very memorable, so at least I know which ones I've seen when we go through them.
Do you know what's a fucking awesome movie?
What
Women Want.
Oh man, that was funny. So my history with What Women Want is when I went to Germany with my parents when I was like 10 or 11.
I'm not just randomly saying this.
We watched
for people
last night.
that are talking. Just for some context, I had seen it numerous times over the years from when I was really young, and then, well, not super young because it came out in 2000.
2000.
2000. Holy shit.
Yep.
It's a fun movie, but yeah, we watched it last night.
You dragged me kicking and screaming into watching it because I was like, oh, great, Mel Gibson in a movie about how women are completely different than men. But yeah, when I was in Germany with my parents, it was just coming out and they were advertising it very heavily. And the name in German is Was Frauen wollen, which I thought was very funny. So just Mel Gibson. And we were like, we saw so many ads for it. We were almost going to go see it.
No
in
way.
Germany, just to like
put
ourselves out of our misery. But we didn't.
Good, yeah.
But it's actually quite funny. Like I think there are parts of it that you could totally make now and parts of it that you really couldn't. And I'm not sure.
For the first 30 minutes, I was like, I don't know.
I was like, I'm not happy about
you're not going to enjoy it because it does take a little bit to get into the humor of it.
Yeah.
Because it is just essentially him being chauvinistic. You know, he was brought up by strippers, for God's sake. But Mel Gibson is the perfect person to play that guy. I don't know who else could pull that off.
It's weird.
He's got loads of charisma.
He does.
He must have banged so many chicks during his heyday. You know what I'm saying? Just from him being, and now he's crazy.
And he actually hit some of them as well, which is great. No, but you know what I mean? Like he's still charming, even though you know all that. It's really weird. But it starts off and he's like pinching his housekeeper's butt. I'm like, sexual harassment. So funny.
When I saw that,
it was like,
I did not know that was in there. I could not
roll my eyes harder. And that's the sort of stuff where it's like, you couldn't make that now, but like, how would you make it now? Because he does have to be a shit, and then he has to like, because
they set him up for 30 minutes leading up to the point where he is able to then hear women's thoughts. It's just, they do it in such a fun way. It's great. Like,
they did, because then all the stuff that you as the audience member were like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like women don't act like this. And you find out that they've actually been sort of them putting stuff on to basically get through the day, essentially like flirting with this guy who's a complete arsehole to make their lives easier, because
he's able to hear how much of a terrible and shit person he is. But it's not sort of like in a like a gimmicky way that they do it. They do it in a sort of reasonable way. Yeah,
it's quite like it felt quite relatable in some ways. It's kind of weird because it almost feels like it's like, because it's like a quarter woke, it's like almost worse than if it were just totally stupid. Like it's a weird, but it's actually really entertaining as well. Like they set up some really great situations, but it's really hard to watch now because you're trying to figure out how to feel what about what. Like it's so funny. Like just as it's like if they remade it now, they'd have to address certain things a lot more fully. Or something, but it's a comedy. Like
he can hear women's thoughts. Come on, you know
exactly. Yeah, he gets electrocuted. Like it's so, but then it's the stuff. It's like, well, you know, like women have to wax their legs. That really sucks. Why do they do that? Like that kind of stuff. Because of people like you asshole.
As with all movies that I watch, and I'm sure you're the same. I always read the trivia on IMDb.
Oh, you bet.
After every
I love that you do
single movie that we watch. So, like usually this is our routine after a movie. We'll go to bed, so we'll get ready for bed. So I'll go brush my teeth, and on my phone on IMDb looking at the trivia, you'll be in the bedroom on the movie on IMDb.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're both like speaking to each other from I'm in the bathroom, you're in the bedroom. And I'm like, huh? And you're like, what? And then you're like, I'll say, oh, this trivia. And you're like, I just read that. And then
really
you'll tell
funny.
me another bit, which I'm reading at the same time.
And I think we've developed really good horse sense for like what's going to be in the trivia as well. Like somebody will have noticed this and read about it. Like I was really disappointed last night because we noticed his laptop was really weird. And I was like, there's going to be something in the trivia about that. And there wasn't. And I had to Google historical Apple laptop brands.
Even though it is from the year 2000, he is using a laptop. I don't know if anyone's going to watch it, but he's using a laptop that looks like a PC laptop, you know, like a Windows laptop, but it has...
As in it's black and blocky?
Yeah. Black and blocky. And it has an upside down Apple logo on it. So when he opens it up, it's upside down. I'm like, that has to be something to do with they couldn't get the rights and they just smashed two products together.
And I was like, companies pay to have their products in movies. Like they wouldn't need to get the rights to do that unless it was like part of the plot, which it's not. So there must be like, maybe they actually were like that, like unless they just made a fake laptop for the movie for some God known, like whatever reason. But it turns out they actually were upside down on that model. And it is actually an Apple laptop.
I know.
It was manufactured between 1997 and 2001 or something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy that they were even building things at that point.
I know, right?
So, yeah, and we also just actually there was a trivia piece from What Women Want, and it's essentially the character in the movie, Mel Gibson's character, he is like an advertising exec, so he has, and they're aiming their brand now towards women because they're a huge part of the market that his company isn't getting because he's this chauvinistic male.
They just didn't think they should advertise to women until the year 2000 apparently, and then he is like, why?
So Helen Hunt, she's this lady that comes in from a different company, and she gives all the execs boxes with the companies that they're wanting to work with, sort of some of their stuff. And then there's the scene where Mel is drunk trying to get in the mind of a woman. Yeah. Doing all the stuff from this box. So he's like got pantyhose on.
He's painted his nails.
He's done his nails. He's got the strips. What's it called?
Like the Biore, the pore strips.
Yeah, the pore strips. He's putting some stuff in his hair that makes it thicker, supposedly.
Yeah. Some nonsense.
And then he waxes his legs. But in the trivia, in the movie, he ends up like screaming in pain, obviously, and electrocuting himself mistakenly. But when they were filming that, he didn't actually think it was that sore.
Bad, yeah.
So he was like walking around like, why do women complain about this? It's not bad.
I can just imagine them all reacting exactly to him like they reacted to his character in the movie. I'm sure he was drunk for real as well.
Still in good shape.
Yeah, he is in weirdly good shape in that.
I mean, he must be in his sort of late 40s in that movie, maybe.
I looked it up. He was born in 1956 or something like that.
Okay, so he's in his sort of
like mid-40s. Yeah.
And like sinewy and sort of in shape. I don't even think he works out. He just looks like he's sort of naturally.
Yeah, he has that weird like Australian, like I drink beer on the beach and somehow get in shape. Like also, to be fair, when you see him shirtless, he is wearing control top pantyhose. So, eventually. So you do get a flattering view of him. But no, he is in quite good shape. He's really weird because I really don't like him, but I also almost always do like him in movies. Like it's quite weird.
Yeah, and it's sort of the earlier ones. Gambit, not Gambit.
Is that's the Riverboat one? Yeah.
No, it's Maverick. Gambit's the from X-Men. Remember?
Yes.
My favorite.
Also Cards. Yeah.
Cards as well.
One,
and he's from Louisiana.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Bayou.
My
Baton Rouge.
most fancied cartoon character.
Mine was Rogue. One of the best cartoon butts ever.
You're a cartoon butt. But yeah, like so charming in that, even though you know he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
Terrible what he's done.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a pretty horrible person.
It's hard because he's been, I mean, this is probably why people are fed up with Hollywood and how they've given free passes to a lot of people. Yeah. But he's a great actor. Charming and an even better director. Like his movies
he is a weirdly good director, and it's kind of upsetting.
It's weird. He just has this knack for it.
Yeah,
and I don't know how or where it comes from, but people kind of shoot it down a little bit just because of his general vibe himself.
Yeah, it's like, how can you behave this way and be smart enough to make these movies?
Him doing what he's done with his girlfriend and all that,
and anti-Semitism and
creating his old Catholic church as well.
So weird. I always forget about that one because that's especially weird. Yeah, I think that like ding 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 capitalism, but like as long as you're making us more money than you're losing, you get to keep doing what you're doing.
Well, he did Apocalypto, you know,
and it's really good. It's such a good movie. Yeah.
And what else did we watch? We watched Mean Girls.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. It's like I know all the words to it now, so it's almost not as funny anymore.
Favorite song.
Yeah. But I remember like being made to watch that when I was a teenager and being like, it's got Lindsay Lohan in it. The cover's pink. I'm gonna hate this, and it's so funny.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I always felt weird about liking it because initially I was like, there was nothing on. I can't remember when I did watch it, but I definitely watched it by myself.
Well, you're clearly very secure, which I find attractive.
Yeah, and I think it was probably just one night after training, you know, I'm trying to chill out or whatever, and I was like, well, I'll give this a go, and it was hilarious.
The writing is so good. It's really, really funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever gone into a movie so much not wanting to like it and being completely not even open to the possibility that I might like it. And then it's just so funny. It's so good. So many good lines.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, we're just about time to wrap up, actually.
We watched Up, which I'd never seen.
Yeah, you've not seen a lot of sort of movies that people...
I intentionally put that one off because I knew what happens in it. So I knew it would make me upset. And I was waiting for a time in my life when I was feeling perfectly emotionally stable. And I was like, bring it on.
You wept.
I cried
like
for
a baby.
90 minutes. I was dehydrated. I needed a Gatorade.
Well, I was obviously aware of what happens in the first 5 minutes. And you were like, yeah, let's watch Up. And I was like,
and I was preemptively crying before the sad thing even happens because I know what the sad thing was. So even when it was still happy in the first 3 minutes, I was already crying.
Well, they know how to get you, the sad music and all the sort of like, but they just sort of put the story out there. They just nailed it with that first 5 minutes. Like, I remember everyone was sort of like, I remember my friends I was with in the cinema, and I was looking around at the time because everyone was like half crying, and I'm just
like it's a kids movie, you can't do that, but they do it so well. And then it's just peppered with enough. Like, I was also crying from laughing at one point, but I was probably like, it stopped being like a single tear or two rolling down. I was like, I am actually crying. Like, I'm making sounds. Like, this is bad. But all the characters are so wonderful. I'm super in love with it now. I love the dog.
Doug.
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you. And the bird, Kevin. And the wee boy, Russell. I really like Russell. I like it's wonderful. I really, and it's wonderful visually. Everyone should see it. Bring your tissues, bring your Gatorade.
And it came out in 2009 as well.
Yeah, I know, right?
10 years.
Yeah.
Makes me feel old now. Anyway, on that note, I think we're pretty much at the 2-hour mark anyway.
Lordy. Wow.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Totally. Or arguing about technology and biology and then talking about movies.
Yeah, so it's been good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Well, I'm sure you'll be on again at some point.
Hopefully I won't get kicked off.
And to everyone listening and watching on YouTube at some point, I will see you next week. Peace.